Welcome Libra, it's your in-depth monthly forecast for January 2025 for the Ascendant, the Sun or the Moon. If you've yet to check out your year 2025 deep dive forecast, please see that underneath this video. I'm going to share with you some standout details to look out for to begin with, then on screen the event chart right at the start of January. Always influential. As influences feed in, I'll go through them frame by frame and give you a clear picture of what to expect in this first month of the year. I'm astrologer Patrick Arundell, wishing you all the best for year 2025. If you're new to my channel, thank you for joining me. This is very much a community. If you have any thoughts, please do share them. If you've yet to subscribe to my channel, we have found that 50% of people who regularly watch my videos are not subscribers. Please help the channel to thrive. Click that sub button, but also the bell notification symbol. Also, please like and share my videos too. If you'd like to order your year 2025 personal forecast based on your unique birth data, if you order in 24 you'll get the rest of the year free. In 25 you'll get a full 12 months from the time of the order. You'll also get my free gift of your zodiac, general, love, Chinese and Vedic forecast, as well as 30% off and your life roadmap report. Your life roadmap report is particularly influential because this helps you to understand the patterns that have played out in your life so far. The forecast helps you to time your moves, because knowing when the planets are helping or perhaps resisting your efforts is a critical feature of working with astrology. If you'd like to order from a whole sign perspective, a solar perspective if you don't know your time, draconic perspective if you'd like your soul perspective, please see the links below for more. Also, if you'd like to have a one-to-one with me, I am a consulting astrologer. Please check out my testimonials below and you can read exactly what people have said. I don't edit these at all. Now, your ruler is Venus, and Venus starts this year for you in your sister air sign of Aquarius, which can be very glamorous, playful, but it soon moves on the 3rd into the very practical 6th house. Now, the 6th house is an area of your chart which has come under intense scrutiny over the last couple of years because of Saturn, and it may have seemed at times that things were quite heavy going, particularly around responsibilities and obligations. But Venus can be very charming, of course, but also very creative. And if you're wanting to reorder a part of your existence, perhaps your home for example, because of the Sun's 4th house energy at the start of this year, the combination of all that can be very positive. It's just that Venus's challenge to Uranus at the start of the year could make you feel quite restless around a romantic relationship which isn't quite working for you, or if you don't have one, the yearning to have one could be very strong. But you know, as we go into this new year, there is quite a colossal clash between Mars and also Pluto. Pluto's going to make you much more conscious of expressing the truest depth of who you are in the years to come. But Mars in the 11th house suggests that somebody around you, could be a friend, maybe it's your own doubts about your future plan, maybe you don't feel that at the moment you are expressing enough about what makes you uniquely you, and you could find yourself a bit conflicted, or someone can be a bit challenging towards you. What I would say is that Mars is going to be inverting back into the sign of Cancer on the 6th. Through to the 18th of April, you will be very much focused with Mars's help on goals and ambitions, and you can have a significant breakthrough, and it could happen as soon as the last 2 weeks of this month. But the fact that Mars continues its retrograde through to the 24th of February suggests that not everything may go quite as quickly as you would like. So it is going to be important to factor in some patience. Now, on the 11th of the month, we do have the nodal axis switching, but the North Node, the point of destiny, our collective direction of travel for you, joins up with Venus, but also Saturn and Neptune in your 6th house. And it is going to be impacted by a series of eclipses this year. So if the part of your everyday existence isn't quite running quite as smoothly as it could, you could discover this year that some of the blockages to get things running as well as they might be to do with a disinclination towards order, or it could be because of some deeper psychological blockage. But because of the full moon on the 13th, that's really asking you to tune into your work and professional situation, but feel comfortable. If you don't feel comfortable, you might find yourself thinking, surprisingly perhaps, of making a change. But the change can be as good as a rest in the second half of this month. And I'm going to illustrate you in much more detail shortly just why from the 19th right through to the end of the month can be so very exciting for you. But on the screen now, I'm showing your event chart right at the start of the month and of course the year. On the 30th of December 2024, we had a new moon, a black moon in Capricorn, emphasizing that home emotional sector that Pluto has been giving you constant challenges but some opportunities since 2008. But the moon's moved on, and you can see links with Uranus. Maybe that link with Uranus in your 8th house suggests that when it comes to the resources you might seek to make a home change, thinking outside of the box could be a smart approach. But you do have, along with Pluto, your ruler Venus in the gorgeous 5th house. So that's been a real asset to you over the winter holidays and the festivities. But you can see that's in a right angle with Uranus. If there is something that you're feeling that you want to invest in, or a person that you're really drawn to, there could be a lot of electricity and charisma and magnetism around this situation. But you know, the reverse can be true. You could actually have a need to free yourself from something where you feel a bit controlled or penned in. Just depends on your personal circumstances. What's also important at the start of this year is that Saturn starts it in your 6th house, but it is in a square with Jupiter in the 9th. I think the influence of this, even though the eclipses this year and the North Node, as well as the South, are going to encourage you to get a good balance between your emotional, psychological and spiritual well-being and your physical needs and practical organisation. One of the things that you're being really encouraged not to do with Saturn square to Jupiter is get caught up in being too much of a people pleaser, which can be an inherent part of your nature. So Jupiter in the 9th house can be about a need to be free. So because Saturn applies to it, there may be some responsibilities and obligations that you do need to get through. And at times in year 2025, you could feel a bit constrained by those obligations. But Mars in that 11th house, is that going to be that person that you've socialised with, but you're feeling in some ways it's not really psychologically in your corner as much as they may be? Or is it that inner conflict within you about what your future route should be? Because sometimes when you are unsure, you will sit on your hands and you will weigh things up very, very carefully. But if you don't take an action, that particular influence could create a lot of tension. That brings us to the 3rd of the month. Venus, your ruler, moves into that 6th house, joining up with Saturn and Neptune. The 3rd, Mercury ends its post-retrograde shadow. If you recall, from the end of November to the middle of December, there may have been some cross wires. You may have had some technological challenges. I've certainly had a few. And as ever with Mercury retrogrades, often it's what we do where we haven't been quite as precise as we might have been. But of course you can get things like, there was that story about not sending text messages between iPhones and Google phones because there was a security breach. Classic Mercury in Sagittarius retrograde, to be honest. So if you did have some glitches around technology, buying and selling, a trusted appliance going on the blink, blah de blah, wouldn't be a surprise. But Mercury going or coming out of its post-retrograde shadow is something to really savour. However, on the 3rd also, Mars and Pluto reach an absolute high point in that tense opposition. Essentially, they're about power. If you're able to harness the creativity of Pluto and output it to a wider group of people, but still be very collegiate in your approach, very inclusive, you're handling the ego, if you like, of Pluto in the 5th with the connection and network of Mars, which can be very egotistical, in the 11th. But then again, it could be a group of people that feel that maybe you want things too much on your terms. Just be conscious of that. Either way, Mars does continue to invert, and by the 6th, it's back in Cancer, and it's going to be there through to the 18th of April. Your role in life. Everyone has a different role. Some people are very focused on career, ambition, success, reaching for the stars. Other people's ambitions can be to do with hobbies, what they contribute locally or voluntarily. Could be within family life, looking after grandkids. Could be focusing on hobbies and interests. But whatever your goals and ambitions are, they can be furnace-like right through to the 18th of April, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to get the reward quite as quickly as you would like because of the retrograde through to the 24th of February. But in the second half of this month, as long as you can be very open in your approach, Mars's electric connection to Uranus, the planet of surprises, could see a sudden opportunity develop for you very, very fast. And try to go with it if so. But on the 8th, Mercury moves into Capricorn. And you start this year, of course, with the Sun in Capricorn and coming out of that new moon energy. If you have been tempted by the winter sales, it may be for some home furnishings or things that make you or give you a greater sense of comfort. But Mercury moving into the 4th house could, for those people who are thinking about their own enterprise, could see thinking about using your home as your HQ. But the 11th sees that true nodal axis switch. The south is Virgo, the north is Pisces. So in a way it's flipped for you from what it is for say everyone else collectively. So far as Virgo is your 12th house, the more psychological dimension, and Pisces is the practical dimension. Now Pisces can be very compassionate, and you probably found since Neptune moved in 2012 into the sign of Pisces that you have shown a lot of compassion or used a lot of your inner emotional resources within your work. But Saturn's been asking you to push back a little bit over the last couple of years and set some boundaries, or you have ended up rather weary at times. So getting that sweet spot around your health is a big marker point from the 11th. The Cancer full moon, however, on the 13th, if you are very unhappy emotionally in a job you're in, you're really being pushed to take some action with Mars in the mix. And also show that you are a cardinal sign, and that means that you can be very outspoken when you need to be. Not necessarily in the first instance, you'd rather take soundings. You would prefer to reach an accord where everyone gets a bit of what they want. But if you feel really thwarted, you may put your foot hard to the floor and make it clear about what you will not accept anymore. However, from the 19th, a much more playful, sociable dimension starts to emerge. The 21st sees the Sun applied to Pluto. If it's important to you around children, if you have kids, and what they do, their hobbies and interests, give you a lot of personal satisfaction, you could find yourself really being engaged with their needs a lot more at this time. For some people, it could also be fated about adding to the family unit. But most of all, if you are wanting to just demonstrate to people just how talented you are, how much flair and creativity and artistry you have, that combination between the Sun and Pluto is asking you to drag it up from the depths of your being. Now on the 28th, Mercury moves out of the 4th house, where it can struggle a little bit with introspection and letting thoughts go round our mind in a circular way, to actually being much more playful, even mischievous. So you could find as the month comes to an end, and it is a complex month, that you're actually wanting to reinvigorate your social world, your connections to others. If there is somebody that you're spending time with romantically, with the new moon featuring not just the Sun, the moon and Pluto, but also Mercury, oh my, what a very effervescent collective that is. But it's certainly giving you a lot more confidence. And because Mars is accentuating your assertiveness in a very public way, if there are talents that can be filtered through that energy of Mars, you've got quite the mix. Now Uranus goes direct after having been retrograde for 5 months from the end of August. If you have found that your long-term financial situation has been extremely choppy and changeable, very unpredictable since March 2019, the fact that at least Uranus goes direct is very welcome. But I feel that you get a chance to showcase a much more outgoing part of your being, perhaps in the most visible and recognizable way for many years. Pluto has taken quite a toll, but Saturn has as well. Uranus has had a say in it also. So as you come to the end of January, whatever you've gone through or whatever you are experiencing, be assured that that coalescence of the Sun, Moon, Mercury and Pluto, because Mercury loves being in Aquarius, is really giving you a fantastic platform to just use your personality power and charisma to the absolute max in whatever way that you choose. A great month, and do check out your year 2025 deep dive video by clicking on the link underneath this one.